Well, I can't actually see the clock to see if it's 10:30, but we'll assume. As soon as Ian moves to his chair, we know it's time to get started. So good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, all those of you here present and those with us on Zoom. I'm the Reverend Marsha Vollkommer, and I'm honored to be your celebrant today. If you are new to BUF, we invite you to fill out a card in the rack on the back of the pew in front of you, what we like to call a pew card, so that we might become better acquainted. And please join us at coffee hour downstairs after the service. We invite you to use a red cup for your beverage so that we may welcome you among us. And I figured out that the red cups hold more coffee than the white ones anyway. If you have little ones who love to wiggle, we have an actual wiggle room called the Wiggle Room at the back of the sanctuary with plenty of toys to keep the wigglers busy and speakers so that you can relax and enjoy the service. I've been asked to draw your attention to the two announcements in today's order of service. First, if you know someone who would be interested in applying for the position of Congregational Administrator, information is available on the BUF website under the News tab. Information on qualifications, a job description, and how to apply. And, this is very important, if you planned to write holiday cards this morning for the Worthy Now Christian Ministry, we have received news that Lucy Kesterson, who's organizing the project, is sitting beside her mother in the hospital in Seattle. And the supplies are in her car outside the hospital in Seattle. And so we adjust, and we'll write our holiday messages next week following the Sunday service as we hold Lucy and her mother in our thoughts. So now, let's all breathe, and let's wrap all that up, all that I've said so far, in a tidy little package, or put it all in a little basket, or a file folder for the engineers in the room, and let's set it aside for a few moments of peace, gifted to us by Ian at the piano.
Good morning. My name's Karen Fitzgerald, and I will be your song leader for the morning, along with Tom and Jocko. Please stand as you're willing and able, and we will sing Come, Come Wherever You Are. I believe the words should be on the screen, or maybe you know it. Anyway, the song begins with a drone part, which these two will lead. And after we run through that a couple times, the rest of us can start in the melody, once through in unison, and then let's have this side over here continue on, sing it another time, and then I will bring this side over here in for part 2 of the round.
In this holiday season, may the darkness of winter be dispelled by a festival of light, and may ignorance be dispelled in the strength of compassion, reason, and sharing. We light our flaming chalice in hope that all oppression will be dispelled. And together we confirm in our covenant that love is the spirit of this fellowship and service gives it life, celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth. We work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
At this time, I'd like to invite all of our children and youth up to the front, and I'm going to move over to the center here while you come up. I have a story for you today. My apologies, I thought we had a projector so that you could see the pictures. So, well, I'm going to show the pictures to the kids up here, that if you all can't handle it, you can come up too. This story is called Hanukkah Cookies with Sprinkles. Every morning, I watch by the window as Mom goes to work. She leaves our building and walks past Saul's Market to the bus stop. Before she gets on the bus, she turns, looks up, and waves at me. There she is looking out the window. They must live in the city in a really tall building. I wave back. I stay there and see other people hurrying to work. I stay there until Grandma says, "Sarah, it's time to get ready for school." When I look out, he wants to see the pictures too. While I look out the window, I see Saul open his store. He loads the tables in front. He finds a few bad fruits and vegetables and puts them in a box. He can't sell them, so he puts them on the side of the store. One day I see an old man look into the box. He takes out an apple and puts it on his shoulder. The apple rolls down his arm and into his hand. Then he takes a bite. Why did he eat that apple, I asked Grandma. It has lots of bad spots. It has lots of good spots too, Grandma says. That man is probably poor and looking for something to eat. Oh, show you some pictures now. At supper, I tell Mom about the man. Oh, wait a minute. We're missing a page. She ends up, she made some cookies with her grandma. At supper, I tell Mom about the man, and I show her a cookie. "Could you leave it for him?" I ask. The next morning, Mom puts the cookie in a bag. She leaves it by the side of Saul's store. Later, I see the man open the bag. He takes out the cookie, spins it on the tip of his finger, and eats it. We were trying something new with this because we didn't actually have this book and we couldn't get it at the library. And we found an electronic version, but it may not have printed properly. So you'll have to really use your imaginations. At school, I tell my friends about him, and we wrap lots of cookies. My teacher says she's proud of us. She says what we're doing is called tzedakah. Can you guys say that? Tzedakah?
What's tzedakah?
Lucas is asking, what's tzedakah? That's a great question. She says we're giving to someone who has less than we have. So when you give to someone who has less than you, it's called tzedakah. My teacher gives tzedakah too. She gives me a container of juice for the man. That night, I help Mom make him a sandwich. The next morning, he finds the cookies, juice, and sandwich. He looks around. I think he wants to know who has left him such good things. This is the first time I see his face, and I think I've seen him before. I just don't know where. On Friday night, Mom and Grandma light Shabbat candles. Then we go to synagogue. After the service, there's an oneg Shabbat. It's like a Shabbat party. And guess what? I see him. "Mom, Grandma," I whisper. "What, Sarah?" they ask. "I know that man. That's him. That's him." The man eats some challah. He drinks some grape juice. We all do. So they're having a party. Sometimes we have parties after our services, like our potlucks. Okay. After that, every day, when the man comes by Saul's, there is something for him to eat. Then one day, my teacher says Hanukkah is coming. I love Hanukkah. It's a happy holiday. On Hanukkah, my teacher says, we light candles for 8 nights. We remember the fight for freedom many years ago. We remember the fight so Jews could light Shabbat candles and study the Torah. We also remember how a small bit of oil burned and burned. She gives us each some tiles, bottle caps, paint, and glue. We're making menorahs, she said. You can use them at home to light Hanukkah candles. Just before the first night of Hanukkah, I bring my menorah home. It's beautiful, Grandma says. I know it is. Grandma sets it by the window. We'll light the candles and play dreidel when Mom comes home, Grandma says. Now let's make latkes and Hanukkah cookies. Latkes are potato pancakes. Let's make extra, I say. We make a lot of latkes. We bake lots of cookies in the shapes of menorahs and dreidels, and I cover them with sprinkles. I wonder what she's going to do next. Mom comes home, and I show her my new menorah. It's beautiful, Mom says, but what about the one you made last year? She takes it from the cabinet. It's also beautiful. Take it with you when you go to work, I say. Put it by the trash near the fruit store. Don't throw it out, Grandma says. I'm not, I tell her. I'm giving tzedakah. I'm giving it to someone who has less than we have. So who's she giving it to?
The poor man.
That man, yeah. I'm sure glad Lucas is here today. He knows all the answers and all the
The
questions.
poor dude.
Oh, and then guess what? The next morning, the man takes the menorah out of the bag and looks at it. There are also latkes, cookies with sprinkles, and Hanukkah candles. I see that the man's cheeks are a little wet. I hope those are happy tears. So there he is. He's very sweet. On Friday, Mom and Grandma prepare a special Shabbat and Hanukkah dinner with lots of good things to eat. At synagogue that night, I want to invite the man to our house for dinner. But Sarah, Mom says, we don't know him. He's a stranger. Please, I say. Mom and I speak to the rabbi. He knows the man. His name is Morris Berger, the rabbi tells us. I've known him for a long time. He's here every Friday afternoon to set up the chairs. After Shabbat, he puts away all the books. The rabbi introduces Mom and me to Mr. Berger. Mom asks him, would you like to join us for a homemade Shabbat and Hanukkah dinner? Please, I say. Mr. Berger smiles. He comes home with us. He talks a lot during dinner. He lives nearby in a small apartment. He once worked in a circus. He shows me some tricks the clowns had taught him. He juggles some small pieces of challah. Then one by one, he catches each piece in his mouth and eats it. I wish I could juggle. You can't see this, but this is like the most fun dinner party you've ever been to. Food is in the air, but none of it's making a mess. Mom brings out dessert, a plate of Hanukkah cookies, all covered with sprinkles. Now Mr. Berger knows who has been leaving cookies, sandwiches, and milk for him. He knows who left him the menorah and candles. At first, Mr. Berger looks down. I think he's a little embarrassed. Then he looks at me and says in a real quiet voice, "Thank you." Mr. Berger, I say, I hope you'll visit again. I'd like that, he says, and please call me Morris. Mom tells him to have another cookie. I will, he said, but first I'll show you some magic. Are you okay? Okay. Morris reaches behind my ear and takes out a Hanukkah cookie with sprinkles. Now watch this. I'll make it disappear. He takes one big bite and the cookie's gone. That's okay, I say. We have lots more. We have lots to share. I also have things to share, Morris says. I can teach you some easy magic tricks. I can tell you funny circus stories. Can you teach me to juggle? Morris laughs. I can try, he says, but juggling takes lots of practice. Sarah, we need lots of juggling lessons, Mom says. Morris smiles. He knows that lots of lessons means lots more Shabbat dinners with us. I smile too. Soon I will juggle at school and surprise my friends. The end. So now it's time to sing our kids up to their classes. Ready to go? Yeah, let's go.
This morning, we warmly welcome with great buff enthusiasm Reverend Bruce Bode as our worship leader. Bruce and his wife Flossie join us from Port Townsend, where he served as minister of Quimper UU Fellowship for 14 years. I also have it on good authority that the Bodes are guests at the Jocko and Barbara Tenhove Bed and Breakfast for retired UU ministers. Prior to serving at Quimper, and I do love that name, Bruce served in UU churches in Houston, Texas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and for 22 years, he was an associate minister at the Fountain Street Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a church Bruce describes as large, independent, and religiously liberal. These are very bare-bones details about Reverend Bode, in part because I just met him this morning, but I'm confident we'll know him far better at the end of the hour as he shares himself in his own words. Welcome, Bruce.
Well, thank you, Marsha, for your introduction, and greetings to all of you, to those of you present here in the sanctuary, also to those of you who may be tuning in virtually. And yes, let me say a bit more about my background by way of introduction. Even though I've never been here at Buff before or spoken here, I do have many connections to Bellingham, including being born here in 1947, and that was at St. Luke's Hospital, no longer in existence. And I was raised then on a small dairy farm north of Linden, about 1.5 miles from the Canadian border. I graduated from the Linden Christian High School in 1965. I played a lot of baseball, including being with the Bellingham Legion team in the latter years of my high school. I played a couple of games, as I recall, at Battersby Field. If you don't know where that is, it's just a few blocks from here in Ellsworth and F Street. And then during my college years, I played for the Bellingham Bells. Joe Martin was the manager then, and he found those of us who played for him, the college players, jobs. Most of them were from California. I was local, but I worked for the Whatcom County Department in the surveying area. Most of my life has been spent in the Midwest, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as Marsha said. And then in my late 50s, I returned to this area and served, as she said, for 14 years at the Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Port Townsend, which is on the Olympic Peninsula. And there I got to know a number of clergy who somehow have ended up here. Something about Bellingham attracts them, several in retirement, includes Jocko and Barbara. Peter Luton is here this morning, I noticed. I knew Andy Backus, some of you will remember him. Doug Watkins, who was a minister, and then Paul Beckel for a bit. And last night I met in person Mel Hoover and Rose Eddington, and then just this morning Barbara Gilday. So all of those, and I may have missed a few, but at any rate. So actually being with you this morning carries some emotion for me. It feels a bit like the closing of a circle, and in the last couple of days, some familiar lines of the poet T.S. Eliot have been playing in my mind. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Those lines have been rummaging around in my head, knowing that I was coming here to Bellingham for the first time. Well, this notion of circling back and knowing at a different level also will relate to my theme for this Sunday service, because I'm going to be sharing with you a way of taking Christmas at a different level than I first knew it. And that largely has to do with the first half of my ministerial career, when I was an associate of the independent and unaffiliated religiously liberal congregation. It was a large congregation of about 2,000 members, a large staff, and it was the Fountain Street Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was led for 38 years by a Dr. Duncan Littlefair, 1944 to 1982. I caught him just at the end of his ministry. He was the one who gave me a chance in the liberal ministry. It was also he who expanded my sense of the meaning and value of Christmas for liberal religion, which to him involved a whole season of celebrating the values and qualities of spirit that make us truly human. And Duncan Littlefair always began the Christmas season with a responsive reading that I especially came to like, and which I now invite you to join with me. It's in the insert in your order of service, if you want to pull that out. Now, I've titled this I don't know if you're used to doing responsive readings, are you? So the minister speaks. I'm the minister here, all right? So don't step on my lines, and I won't step on yours, all right? Okay. So I call this the bells of Christmas. That's my name for it. So here we go. At the beginning of this festive season, we gather in our sanctuary to celebrate the wonder, glory, and joy of life.
Generation after generation, children and adults, all those with open hearts and minds, have celebrated the qualities of the Christmas season.
We do not always come to this holiday season with happy hearts and carefree minds. We are not always ready to sing and rejoice.
Sometimes we are burdened with personal sorrow. Sometimes our community is torn with dissension. Sometimes our world is ravaged with war.
Sometimes, even as we anticipate the return of the sun's light, the world seems dark and dreary. We are burdened with the memory of too many failures, too many defeats, too much sorrow.
Sometimes loneliness, fear, selfishness, discouragement, and resentment turn the bells of Christmas into their
Sometimes loneliness, you just said, I got distracted. At such times, we must remind ourselves that the lights and bells and songs of this season are meant to celebrate not only the good we know, but the wonder and glory we have lost and would find again.
So we come together this day to open our hearts and minds to all that is good and beautiful and worthy to be treasured.
We come in a strong and confident faith that if we seek, we will find, and if we open our hearts, we will be filled with the joy and wonder of life. And let me compliment you on your reading. My goodness, very impressed.
There are so many lines that we just read, so many words, so many phrases, so many beautiful thoughts that are a perfect fit for what I'm about to tell you, what I'm about to speak about. I'd like to have just a few minutes of your time to talk about Humanitas, today's recipient of your gifts of offering. Every Wednesday morning, 7 or 8 volunteers from this, our Buff community, gather to set up tables and chairs in anticipation of welcoming our weekly guests to Humanitas. These guests, your guests, come, neighbors in our city and beyond, seeking help. They come for a small amount of financial assistance to pay an overdue utility bill or a medical bill, to get a voucher for gasoline so they might travel to and from a job, to get a pledge toward a bus ticket so they might travel back to supportive relatives, to find help feeding and clothing their children. We provided a handout in the order of service that not only gives you a handy pie chart showing the distribution of funding we have been able to provide through September of this year, It also shows we have served 260 guests in that time period, with many more in October and November. 260 people who have come into our church home in need of some help, however small. I think back on those people, each with his or her or their own story, and I'm filled with love and admiration for them as they navigate the landscape of financial assistance, traveling from one church or social services office or school to another. Their courage and strength in circumstances that could and may well be exhausting, humiliating, and defeating is truly inspirational. The story in the handout of a single mother of 8 children, an immigrant from the Kingdom of Tonga, whose 3 oldest children are college graduates, whose family wage earner is currently a student at Whatcom Community College, who just needed a little help to get through one utility bill until their situation stabilized, was a lesson in love and perseverance. A young couple who moved to Bellingham so she might care for her dying mother came in need of help with a deposit for the pad where they would park their mobile home. Between the 2 of them, they had 7 children, including triplets who are 2 years old. They were boys. They were so proud to show us photos of their family. You could tell that they loved each one so much. And we were able to help them with one step towards securing a place for their new home. We helped purchase a bus ticket for a woman who was newly clean and sober. She was strong and optimistic and determined, but knew that living with her daughter in Louisiana would give her a better chance at success. One Wednesday in August, we had 22 guests in our hour. On an average morning, we see between 8 and 12. Of those 22, 18 only spoke Spanish. One of our longtime volunteers speaks Spanish, but 18 people in an hour is more than any translator can handle. That very day, we had a guest who needed a gas voucher, and as she was leaving, she asked me if she might help us. She grew up in Cuba and speaks Spanish with fluency. She said she'd like to give something back if we needed her, and oh my, did we need her. And she's been a regular member of our team ever since. There are so many stories of the goodness of people that we encounter on Wednesday mornings. There is also much to say about how we function, how the morning goes, how things work. We have bus passes, we have notebooks of resources in the wider community. We can provide help of both the financial and legwork variety in obtaining valid Washington IDs. One of the most important gifts we give is the opportunity for every guest who comes through the door to sit with 2 caring volunteers in a place of privacy and share their own story, no matter how long the telling takes, with people who listen with genuine interest and respect. These are, after all, our neighbors. I have no doubt that every one of our 17 Wednesday morning volunteers will wish I had told you of someone they especially remember. But in service of brevity, and it's hard to be brief when speaking of the passion of so many of us, this is the message I'd like to instill in you this morning. We can only offer the work of Humanitas because all of you support it. I like to think that we are your agents, using your contributions to help others. Rob reminds us all the time that we have a fiscal responsibility to you. You have empowered us through your generosity to do the work of Humanitas, and we view that empowerment as an honor and take it seriously. Due to financial constraints, guests can only come to us once a year, and our gifts in whatever form rarely stretch beyond a value of $50. We are fortunate to be a vital part of a faith network partnering with St. Vincent de Paul, Hillcrest, St. Paul's, and Interfaith Coalition to provide pledges for guests with needs that are larger than any one member's coffers can cover. Here at BUF, Humanitas is your outreach. It is part of the service that gives this fellowship life. We are all doing our best to be present for those on the margins, those living life just hanging on and getting by, and those who always express such gratitude that we have offered an ear to listen, the hand of help, and the heart of community. Today is a designated SEJC offering for your Humanitas ministry. And if you don't have a 5 or a 10 or a 20 in your wallet or your purse or your sock for that matter, please go to buff.org and click on Give in the upper right corner for other ways to make a contribution. You may even want to become a recurring donor. So many, many will be grateful. Thank you. And will the ushers come forward?
Thank you, Ian. Well, I've titled my sermon today, Christmas, the Season of the Heart. That is, the Christmas season above all has to do with the heart, and the heart above all has to do with love, and love above all, in its essence, has to do with all the ways that we are connected one to the other and to all that is. I have two readings for you on the nature and meaning of love. And the first reading, I think many of you will be familiar with it, consists of excerpts from St. Paul's great hymn to love. It's a letter that he wrote to the church that he founded in the city of Corinth in southern Greece in the first century of the Christian era. The ancient Greek language in which the Apostle Paul was writing had 4 different words that we English-speaking people translate with the single word love. Eros, which is erotic love. A scholar of world religions and mythology, Joseph Campbell, characterized Eros as the zeal of the organs for each other. Then there's philia, that is the love shared by friends. Storge, that's familial love, for example, the love that parents have for their children and that children have for their parents. And then there is agape, which is loving kindness, which is an unconditional, self-giving, embracing, and abiding love that blazes forth from an awakened and a transformed heart. And it's this latter term, agape, that St. Paul uses in this hymn to love. And that's the word that I'm going to use in the excerpts I read, really, which is a hymn to agape. These excerpts: agape is patient and kind. Agape is not jealous or boastful. It is not arrogant or rude. Agape does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices in the right. Agape bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Agape never ends. Prophecies pass away. Tongues of ecstatic speech cease. Knowledge, it too will pass away. There are three things that abide: faith, hope, and agape. Of these three, the greatest is agape. As just indicated, our English word love covers a vast amount of territory. Our feeling connections, our heart connections to virtually anything and everything can be covered by our single English word love. And here's a perhaps not so familiar poem of Mary Oliver that illustrates the point. The poem is titled simply "Of Love," and it speaks of the many things that attracted the poet, the things that pulled her energy, to which she felt a connection. Love poured out on her, and love to which she responded. Of Love by Mary Oliver. I have been in love more times than one, thank the Lord. Sometimes it was lasting, whether active or not. Sometimes it was all but ephemeral, maybe only an afternoon, but not less real for that. They stay in my mind, these beautiful people, or anyway, beautiful people to me, of which there are so many. You and you and you, whom I had the fortune to meet or maybe missed. Love, love, love. It was the core of my life, from which, of course, comes the word for the heart. She's speaking of the Latin cor, as in the word cordial. Oh, and oh, have I mentioned that some of them were men, and some were women, and some, now carry my revelation with you, some were trees, or places, or music flying above the names of their makers, or clouds, or the sun, which was the first and the best, the most loyal for certain, who looked so faithfully into my eyes every morning. So I imagine such love of the world, she's speaking of the sun, its fervency, its shining, its innocence, and hunger to give of itself. I imagine this is how it began. Well, it's not a requirement that a person like Christmas or the Christmas season. But what I want to do is share with you this morning some of the ways that the Christmas season has evolved, deepened, and become universalized for me over the years. And it's with the thought that you might reflect for yourself on what Christmas has meant to you in the past, what it currently means to you, and what it might mean for you in the future. Let me begin then with the sense of the Christmas season as being the emotional center of the year. It's the season when we attend most consciously to the ties of love that bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days. That's a quote from the author of the responsive reading, Dr. Duncan Littlefair, that we read earlier together. And when I consider these ties of love that bind us together, I go cosmic. I think of those powers in the universe that draw things towards each other and keep them connected. So in my thinking, before love becomes a human quality, it is gravitational, electrical, and chemical. Those elemental powers of attraction and bonding, and they're powers that were present at the very beginning of our universe, present in the original seed pod, when all things were drawn together into a single incomprehensible point of energy so concentrated that when it unfolded in a sudden burst, it jeweled the universe with billions of galaxies of light, such as the energy and light of the sun in the poem that Mary Oliver gave us. These powers of attraction and bonding are still seen in the spinning of the electrons in their orbits around the nucleus and the atom, and in the wheeling of the stars in their orbits in the heavens. And when these elemental cosmic powers enter human life, that's when we speak of love. For what is love but all those forces that attract, connect, and bond us, linking human bodies, hearts, minds, souls, and spirits, the strongest, fiercest, most tender forces that we can possibly know. And so I believe that there is a level of reality and a level of human awareness matching that reality in which we may experience that all things are indeed one. No division, no separation, no boundaries, no borders, but everything is one fabric, one organism. We are one before we are two. We are a singularity, a unity, before we are a plurality. Now, of course, we're also two. We are separated one from another, individual planets, as it were, and paradoxically, we would not know about our unity if we were not also separate in some ways. But still, to me, the first fact of existence, not necessarily the first fact in consciousness, but the first fact in reality, is that this is one gravitational force field of connectivity, one web, one net, so that from all eternity we are bound one to the other. And love is the primary word in our English language that we use to speak of this underlying gravitational connection that links all things. That's my main thought on the subject of love and of our use of the English word love, is that it's rooted in this philosophical religious understanding that this is one interconnected reality and that our unity is prior to and greater than our separateness. Now, having a sense of this underlying connection, you might say we get carried away, so that we profess our love, as I said, to virtually anything and everything. To God, country, mother, father, spouses, friends, pets, mountains, trees, flowers, sports teams, money, etc., etc. Our positive feeling connections, our heart connections to virtually anything and everything can be covered by the single English word love. All you need is love. Seems to be our English language motto, which brings up another aspect of this subject, namely that we may lack nuance in our feeling connections. Because in other languages, we find more discrimination and differentiation in relation to our heart connections, our feeling connections. And the Greek language, as I mentioned, in my introduction to the readings, has 4 different words that we translate with the single English word love. I've read that in Persian, there are 80 words for love, and in Sanskrit, 96 different words that differentiate and discriminate the feeling nuances of our various relationships and connections, which may point to a certain impoverishment and clumsiness in our English language, and even a muddling of our different heart connections, even though we know, for example, that the love that parents have for their children has a very different quality to it than the love that parents have for each other. Yet, in defense of the English language and in defense of love and our use of it, there is, as I say, a place where all the different types of love meet. And our English word love points to, and as a way of speaking about the fundamental unity of things that underlies all the different kinds of love. The particular types of connections vary enormously. But underneath and in and through everything, we are all connected. We are all part of one great love. As we say, again, we may not nuance the variations very well, but at least we catch that universal note of connection. So that's my main intellectual way that Christmas has deepened for me over the years. And now, before we move on to the more emotional aspects of Christmas, I'd like to invite us to sing as an interlude hymn, the hymn Immortal Love. It's number 10 in your hymnals, and so could we have that in? Let me move to a second way the Christmas season has deepened for me over the years, namely in my awareness of why and how the Christmas season can be so very, very difficult for so many people. And really, I suppose it's pretty obvious when one considers it. And that's because during the Christmas season, the highest of our human ideals and values are lifted up and celebrated. I'm talking about ideals of harmony, the ceasing of violence and strife, and the deep wish that peace might prevail upon this troubled planet. But of course, in lifting up these ideals and values, it's also a time when the distance between what we long for and where we are is felt most vividly. So tensions that we can live with or overlook during the rest of the year now become highlighted at this time of the year. There was a member in the congregation I served in Port Townsend who once brought the following quote to me along this lines. "Isn't it funny that at Christmas something in you gets so lonely for, I don't know what exactly, but it's something that you don't mind so much not having at other times? Isn't it funny that at Christmas something in you gets so lonely for, I don't know what exactly, but it's something that you don't mind so much not having at other times?" Again, another member of the congregation once emailed me the following note, which read, "Holidays like Christmas do have a way of making visible major leaks in the dike of one's life." Now that image of leaks in the dike fits nicely with my Dutch heritage. But actually, I tend to think of seams in relationships that become more apparent at this time of the year. For example, during the Christmas season, when families are supposed to be harmoniously of one accord, the seams that have stitched individuals and families together become more obvious, the fabric where the seams are. And so it is that this season of the heart also brings forth aches of the heart, memories perhaps of a family that was once together but is so no longer. Memories of loved ones, those that we lived with and lived for, who were once physically with us, are so no more. So in this season, when we most pray that all tears may be wiped away, inevitably, spontaneously, they come to the surface. But let them come. Let them come. I think that to find our way in this season of the heart, it's important that we provide a generous space for the sorrows of the heart, a time for sitting with sorrow and not passing it by. I think that paradoxically, unless and until our sorrow is honored and our grief given its needed place, we will be blocked from the full beatitude and joy of this Christmas season. It's part of the reason that I so value the responsive reading that we read together, the lines that give voice to the fact that we do not always come to this holiday season with happy hearts and carefree minds. Sometimes, indeed, we are burdened with personal sorrow, or our community, nation, or world is torn by dissension. And sometimes loneliness, fear, selfishness, discouragement, and resentment turn the bells of Christmas into bitter mockery. These words and thoughts, as I said, were from Dr. Duncan Littlefair. He was my primary mentor for what the Christmas season could be. And one time he confided to me, he said, "If the liberal church had only the Christmas season, and if it celebrated it as it could and should be celebrated, it would validate its existence on that basis alone." So what was behind his statement? Basically, as I took it, it was that the heart of religion is to be found in the values, qualities, images, and dreams that are brought forward and celebrated in this Christmas season. Christmas, thus, is a symbol of the holiness and wholeness of life and being. Christmas represents the possibilities of what humans can and should be within themselves, in relation to other humans, and in relation to the planet at large. And Christmas represents these possibilities not only to persons of a Christian heritage, but to many others as well throughout our planet. Each year about this time, there will be complaints about Christmas being co-opted by those who are not true believers. It's a pitting of the Christ child against Santa Claus, a contest between the Gospel of Luke and the movie Miracle on 34th Street. I like to think that I am also a true believer in Christmas. It's just that for me, Christmas has little to do with either doctrinal belief or literal history. Rather, as the English poet John Keats put it, it's about the holiness of the heart's affection, the holiness of the heart's affections, and the truth of the imagination. I think that most people who celebrate Christmas understand this. They find the Christmas season meaningful and valuable largely because it's not about doctrinal belief or literal history. I would venture to say that it's only the doctrinalists and literalists from both right and left who have trouble with Christmas. A few years ago, I received yet another email from a member of the congregation I served in Port Townsend, and she wrote me saying that she had recently asked her grown-up daughter the straightforward question, "What is your religion?" Her daughter, she said, thought for a moment, and then with conviction said, "Christmas." Christmas was her religion. And is it not true that at Christmas, despite issues of commercialization and so forth, there still shines forth the human dream of how human life could and should be lived? This is a dream that arises out of the human heart, and which has to do with the ties of the heart, the yearnings and longings of the heart, and the possibility that even the most closed-off heart could be blasted open. Let me conclude today with my message for you on this first Sunday of the Christmas season in December. Let me conclude with a figure who, perhaps more than any other, embodies the spirit of Christmas. I'm talking about the hero of Charles Dickens' tale, A Christmas Carol. I'm talking about Ebenezer Scrooge. A Christmas Carol is the story of the cracking open of Scrooge's shriveled and frozen heart. It's the drama of Scrooge's rebirth and redemption. And it's a story that has played a very large part in making what Christmas is for us today. It turns out that Charles Dickens visited the United States in 1842 and became friends with a number of notable Unitarians, including Ralph Waldo Emerson and William Ellery Channing. And then, upon his return to England, Dickens began attending Unitarian religious circles at the little Portland Street Church in London, where he and its minister, the Reverend Edward Taggart, formed a friendship that lasted for 16 years until Taggart's death. Shortly after Dickens began attending that little Portland Street chapel, this was in 1843, he conceived and wrote about this truly miserable soul who had turned his back on Christmas. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blind men's dog appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, they would tug their owners into doorways and up courtyards. Such was the state of Scrooge's shriveled and frozen heart. But then Charles Dickens goes to work on Scrooge to see if there might be any hidden gold beneath his roughened, toughened exterior. Dickens goes to work to discover how it is that Scrooge has become cut off from love and whether there was anything to be done about it. And so, we too are also encouraged at this time of the year to ask in what ways our hearts have grown cold and how we might have lost our way to the deeper underlying connections of life. And more than this, we are encouraged to realize that redemption and transformation are always possible, that it's never too late to connect and to reconnect with larger life, that it's never too late to uncover the potential latent within us that would allow us to experience a greater love than we have hitherto known. Such love, such connection and reconnection is at the heart of the Christmas and holiday season. It's at the heart of religious experience. It's at the heart of human life. And it's at the heart of the infinite, unoriginated, forward-pushing creativity of being itself, of which each of us is a small part. That's my message for you this beginning of this Christmas season. I thank you for your attention, and let's conclude by singing Let Christmas Come. It's number 224 in your hymnals, and please stand as willing and or able. Closing words are the 2 verses of a hymn titled There Is a Love. It's a hymn that is used by some congregations as a benediction to conclude services. And the words are those of the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. And the love spoken of in these verses is, as I take it, that of a creative, cosmic, connecting love. So verse 1 goes this way. There is a love, capital L. There is a love, capital L, holding me. There is a love holding all that I love, lowercase l. There is a love holding all. I rest in that love. Verse 2. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in that love. Now we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now, let's circle around.
Yeah, that was the adagio version.